revolution will be live.
Welcome to Psychologics. I am your host, Brian Matthews, and today we have a dicey subject, a dicey topic. I know it's going to invoke some serious thought. There are going to be peoples on both sides of the fence. One's going to be pro, one's going to be con. One's going to be saying, heck yeah, the other one's going to be saying WTF. We're definitely going to have some opposition in this subject. So, they say that justice is blind. That it doesn't see color, race, creed, that money doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're poor, whether you're a friend or foe. Justice doesn't see any of that. It is for the people to give comfort, to take care of in certain situations. But depending on who you're talking to, I don't know. Opinion might differ. And why do I say that? Because it's easy. A lot of people in the black community don't feel they don't feel that justice is blind. As a matter of fact, there's more injustice than justice in a lot of situations. For the simple fact, when we look at it, well, you know what? Let me break those statistics down a little bit later. Let's go ahead and dig into what we're talking about today. After Amber Guyger was found guilty and sentenced to 10 years. Now, I didn't start off with that, but that's something that's already circulating around in the news, and we already know that she got 10 years. And for those who didn't know, here's a quick summation. She was on the telephone talking to her boyfriend. They were having an adult conversation. She was off duty because she was a police officer. She was off duty, not realizing that she walked into the wrong apartment. Same door, same room, just different floor. Realizes there's a black man, big black man in the house. Now, by her own admission, she said, "Put your hands where I can see them." Kind of hard to believe because I'm not going to say that. I'm walking into my house and I see somebody that doesn't belong there and I have a gun. I'm not going to say, "Let me see your hands." I'm going to start dumping. That's just me. I'm assuming that's what happens, but of course that's not what they're going to say. With the realization now she has just killed a man in someone else's home, his home, she made a mistake. At the time, he had not been killed. He wasn't dead. He was dying. Instead of applying the proper first aid, not saying that it would have saved him, but it would have showed that she had some remorse, that she actually cared about this human life. She was more concerned about calling her partner and worried about getting fired. Now, he did die in his own place by her gun. To make matters worse, she tried to justify it by saying she was in fear for her life. So therefore, she killed him. Okay, well, this is Texas. And in the state of Texas, murder can carry up to 99 years, depending if it's capital murder. Capital murder, you can actually get the needle. But what did they do? They argued the case. And she got 10 years. 10 years. So let's go ahead and let's think about this. She got 10 years, but she was found guilty. So I guess we should say a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Because she's found guilty. But she only got 10 years. But then we have people out there in the streets. One on the left side, one on the right side. We have the ones on the left side saying, "This is for Trevon Martin, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, Gardener and Antwon Rhodes. This is for them. This is justice for them." But then we have the other group saying this is injustice. That this case right here, the fact that she only got 10 years is not fair. As a matter of fact, it's a slap in the face. I tend to side on this part. Now, maybe this group here are looking at the Martin Luther King method of nonviolence and forgiveness, and that we got a guilty. So we're moving in the right direction. Okay. We had a black president for 8 years. We're still going backwards. So no, this was not justice. This was injustice. And to open your mouth, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to speak bad about the individuals, because to me, I believe they're speaking out of fear. They're not speaking out of common concern or acknowledgement of the guilty, out of fear for their community, out of reprisals. So yes, sir, we'll take what you give us. We're going to take that guilty, and we're going to appreciate it. We're going to apply it to all the other injustices that's been performed to the community. I say BS. Ain't happening, Captain. And the fact that you said Eric Garner, this is justice for Eric Garner. Eric Garner was a 43-year-old. Yes, he was overweight. Yes, he had high blood pressure. Yes, he had some health concerns. But he was choked out by a Staten Island, New York police officer. Oh, by the way, an illegal chokehold. Now, when he went, or when his body was delivered to the coroner, who said that this was a homicide by asphyxiation, he was still not charged for the crime. Oops. There was no crime because he couldn't be charged. In delivering, and this is by what they said, in delivering a vote of no true bill, jurors determined there was no probable cause that there wasn't a crime committed. So therefore, he could not be charged with a crime, because he did get found to utilize a choke that was prohibited, but he was not charged with a crime. He was more concerned because he was going to get fired about his pension. He just robbed the family of their father. He just robbed the family of their husband. He just robbed the family of a brother. He just robbed the family of a son. And he's worried about his pension. But just like Amber Guyger, she was worried about getting fired instead of applying medical attention to the man she killed in his house. That she got 10 years. He didn't get anything but fired. No crime was committed. So now what you're saying is, it's okay to kill a black man if you're in uniform, performing your duties. They say he was resisting, I guess. They said he was resisting. So therefore they applied lethal force because he was resisting. But that young man in South Carolina who shot up the church and killed all those black people, he was calm. He complained he was hungry. So he took him to Burger King and fed him. Job well done. You just took out 11 niggas. Good job. Understand this. Justice has not been served. I'm not going to apologize, but justice has not been served. You say 10 years is okay. Probably get out in 5. You say that found guilty is acceptable because we're moving forward. I say you're full of boo-boo. Boo-boo. That ain't cool. And we're not moving forward. We're not moving forward whatsoever. We're actually moving backwards. I honestly feel that if this was justice, she'd be facing the needle. But you know what? Man, we're used to that. We're used to getting the short end of the stick. We're used to that. But what I'm not used to is the fact that the brother of the slain victim hugged Amber, asked her to say, "I forgive you." The mother came out a little later on a news program, I want to say ABC or NBC, one of those two, and said that just because he hugged her was not stating that he fully forgave her for her act. It was showing her that that's the type of people they were. They weren't a violent people. They were a caring people. I'm going to tell you exactly what's really going on. They got all this on TV, pictures all over the internet. And now they're looking really bad because the brother hugged the woman that killed his brother. Go ahead. Let that happen to Brian D. Let that happen to this guy right here. They're going to be taking me out in chains. They're going to be taking me out in chains. I ain't hugging nobody. But you know what? What made matters worse, a black judge hugs both parties because she was touched by the emotional situation that was created by the act of forgiveness and kindness. Bullcrap. No, my dude. Bullcrap. You're not going to hug anybody. Okay. You're the judge. You're not supposed to be hugging. You're supposed to be impartial. You're supposed to be fair. Justice is not blind. Justice is not blind. Justice is subjective. That's exactly what it is. Justice is subjective. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We're used to it. We're used to it. Do you know why we're used to it? Let me read you this. The commission analysis of the demographic prison data from 2012 to 2016 found that black men served sentences that are on the average 19.1% longer than those of white men who committed the same offense. Here we go. Black men constitute 6% of the U.S. adult population, but are approximately 35% of the prison population and are incarcerated at six times more than others. 6 times more. They're incarcerated faster and longer. So once again, has justice really been served? We have been in this country, forced into this country, pulled from our country, our homeland, who now, although you will never see that, but I've seen it personally, who now disowns us because they felt we did not fight a hard enough fight for our freedom. Black people die, black men die at an alarming rate that it looks like genocide. But you don't see that happening to Asians because the Chinese and Japanese will come up in arms. You don't see that happening to the Indians, the Hindus, because they will come up in arms. Who is going to unite the nations for the black man? Who is going for the black people? Who? Systemically, the damage has been caused through us, that our mental process hugs the killer of our family. Who does that? Listen to this. Today, infants born to black mothers die at twice the rate of the white mothers. The horrific disparity cannot be fully explained by differences in income, education, or even healthcare. Evidence suggests that cumulative stress from generations of structural racism is driving the epidemic. To combat this persistent problem, lawmakers must attack structural racism in all forms, including mass incarceration. So what we're saying is this has got to stop. But I understand right is relative to who is in charge. And right now we have a man in charge. You say we're moving forward. We have a man in charge who's committed treason, but he's now playing off like it's not treason by going publicly and saying, China, you should. Russia, you should go ahead. Why would you tell people potentially your enemy to investigate an American citizen? Because he's your competitor? He's a runner for the position that you're trying to keep? Traitor. You are a traitor, Trump. And anybody else who supports you, traitors. And I'm sorry. In war, we hang traitors or put them on a firing squad. I'm not saying that what needs to happen. What I'm saying is don't let this guilty verdict sway you to think we're moving forward, that this is a change. It's not. It's 400 years of the same treatment, 400 years of the same thing. It's just disguised differently. One thing I have found out through a lot of my research, movies are a clear indicator of our history. People will watch movies and be able to correlate how we lived during that time frame. I'm going to throw this movie out at you. Black Panther. Black Panther was a very controversial movie simply because it was pretty much about black people to a degree. But there were so many hidden messages on the inside. And we were made to believe that Killmonger was the villain. We were made to believe that the way it is written, that you'll say, Killmonger, you are the problem. You are the problem in society. But if you listen to Killmonger, Eric Killmonger was not the villain. T'Challa was the villain. T'Challa was the villain because his uncle, Eric Killmonger's father, was trying to empower black people who were disenfranchised or disadvantaged by a corrupt system. Killmonger stated to liberate black people all over the world. To liberate black people. He was talking with weapons. But what is the best weapon that you can use against anyone in any circumstance? Don't get me wrong. A gun is nice. The mind. The mind is your weapon. I don't care whether you're white, black, Asian. It doesn't matter. Anyone who brings that mind, that mentality, they're the one who is, how can I say, followed by chance. And chance favors the prepared. And that's all that Killmonger was saying. Let's empower our people. That's what he was saying. But they didn't want that. They looked at only one aspect, that he was an outsider coming in to take over. But he was a warrior. He fought for that country, for the United States. He was a warrior. I fought for my country. I'm a warrior. He was a leader. He was a leader on the battlefield as well as off the battlefield. Kind of sounds like me. I was a leader. I am a leader. And he also had his people in mind. Now, the difference between me and Eric Killmonger, my people, is everyone that calls themselves Americans. These are my people. And within each one of these, I guess you say, I don't want to say sections, but cultures, we all have our challenges. And at some point, we all have been wronged by an unjust government, an unjust justice system. But at the same time, as long as you're empowered with the mind and you know the direction you're going, you won't have any issues when it comes to keeping the past from reinventing itself. Because right now, the way things are going, we're not moving forward, we're not moving backwards. We're kind of like in the middle, and it's all jacked up, FUBAR, effed up beyond repair. I'll say this. You have to ask why black people, I won't say black people, black men are so feared. There is a term, and this is a real term, and this term has been around longer than the United States. It's called negrophobia. Negrophobia basically is what it says, the fear of black people. And it's been around for a while. So now that you have black people, negrophobia, and how black people tend to perpetuate gangsterdism, the I'm a gangster, this is how we roll, every drug dealing video says this, that, and the other. We kind of polarize ourselves to be that. And I guess if you don't really know any black people, you tend to believe it as well. And this is why we have a fear. We don't, but they do. And I just did a podcast on Stacey Dash. Stacey, this is for you. Ben, since you want to put white as your race, cool. The one drop rule. The one drop rule is for African Americans only. Across the world, this is only for us. Which means if you have one drop of Negro blood, that makes you black. So shorty, you're black. Erase that little W, put a B, because that's what you are. You're black. And that's just another way that we're actually being labeled. It's just another way to label us. Mulatto, another way to label us. A term for hybrid. And I could go on and on and on, but that's not what this is about. This is about certain injustices. Now, I will end it with this. And it's going to tie all the way back to the very beginning. When the case actually broke and they started talking about what did Amber do right or what did she do wrong, there was some subversion, some challenges, some changing, some hiding. They were trying to protect their own. And now the police chief, a black woman, mind you, says we have to look into it. Scratching my head. We go a little bit further back, whereas the attorney general in the New York case said that they had to look into some of the police practices because of things that were hidden, moved, changed. Kind of some of the same thing. I guess they call that policing their own. But let me ask you this question. Would you trust an embezzler that embezzled from the job that he worked? I.e., if he worked at the bank and you knew he was embezzling, would you trust him or the people that might be a ring of them, however you want to look at it? Would you trust anybody in that organization to do a check and balance on themselves? Of course not. Get somebody else in there. A neutral party. Somebody who's not going to say, we did our best. I guarantee. I know for a fact. This happens all the time. Hey, Johnson, spread a little crack on him. We're out. You feel me? Psychologics. A lot of you don't really understand what psychologics is. Psychologics is an altered state of mind and concepts and understanding information that's around us. It's kind of like fiction. Everybody thinks, oh, fiction is not true. Wrong. Fiction is distorted reality that's twisted. Think about it. America, the world, psychologics, however you want to call it. You've been informed. What are you going to do about it? This is Brian Matthews, and I'm out.
The revolution will be live.